Hey, Spencer Robbins here, king of the black shirts in his video content. I'm going to be making a video today on worthiness. Worthiness on how it applies to the way that you price for your programs, services, products. Worthiness as it applies to starting a business when people think they're ready or not. Capping and sabotaging your own growths within business because you believe you're unworthy. I'm going to break down how worthiness suffocates people and keeps them small in their lives. And I'm also going to talk about worthiness in how to be authentic in it versus just trying to fake it until you make it. So watch this video. I'm going to break it all down. So many of us, we function in business just going, okay, if I can just figure out what's logically best and the right thing to do, then I'm going to do that thing. And in a perfect world, an ideal world, we would function that way in business, right? We wouldn't have any of our triggers, our own inadequacies, our own shame, our own feelings of insignificance affect and influence the way we make decisions. But unfortunately, you know this, they do. I can't tell you how many people have decided how to price their programs based on their unworthiness versus just the margins that are required to scale the business based on service costs, cost of acquisition, where they're trying to grow to, other arms of the business they're trying to develop. They're not making a logical decision. They're making a decision, gosh, I don't know if it's worth that much. And these are all at a subconscious level. We're questioning ourselves all the time in these little tiny moments and don't realize it. I remember in my life, there's been so many different moments that have caused me to not take a job because I didn't think I was worthy for it. Or I negotiated for this salary versus the salary I could have had because I didn't believe I was worth it, even though my skills were there. I mean, just recently, I was in an engagement with a few business owners. One guy has a huge following of millions and millions of people, lots of book sales, and is a really big deal in his industry and is looking at making us equal partners within his business. And it's super exciting. I love it. I'm so pumped for the opportunity. I know we have the skills to crush it, but I walked away from that meeting going, man, do I really have what it takes? And I had to process through that. I don't have this mode in my life where I just fake it until I make it anymore. I've realized the more that I've faked it until I've made it, the less authentic I feel like I can be in every area of my life. If I succeed because of that mentality in one area, I'm going to continue to use that tool and mentality in other areas to succeed. And I'm going to actually find myself compromising over and over again with what I feel like is authentic me. And eventually I'm going to end up this person that's wearing a mask in every environment. That fake it until you make it mentality causes you to actually wear a mask in every environment that you enter into if you let it. What I've decided to do instead in my life is actually unpack, where is that unworthiness coming from? Was that because of the way mom and dad actually responded to me with these different things I did growing up? Was that because of hurt and pain that I went through with comparison to my brothers in sports or academics or anything? Was there a way that I got made fun of on the soccer field? Or what narratives formed within your life that have caused you to actually form this relationship with unworthiness within your life? Well, those influences and those partnerships and relationships that you have within your life will affect and influence you as an adult when you're jumping into situations that scare you or trigger you back into feeling like you're not enough. And what happens is you'll find that there's a wounded child driving the car of those decision-making moments, and you won't know it. It'll be at a subconscious level. I remember when we were first building out our pricing strategy, our initial thought was, we just got to charge maybe $300 for like 2 months of help. And we realized the only reason, why did we set that pricing strategy? It wasn't in comparison to anything else. It wasn't based on an industry standard. It wasn't based on even margins or how much the business would make and if we'd even have any potential to scale. I didn't know at the time that as we increased the size of our company, added employees to the mix, increased our marketing spend, that $300 would be gone pretty quickly. I didn't know all of these different elements of business that would make that destroy our business before we'd even started. But we had just made that decision based on, well, that's what we think we're worth. We started out actually selling our program at $1,000. When we first started selling it, I think within a few months, we were doing 40 units a month that we were selling. But really quickly, our expenses crept up to 15, 20 grand a month. We were making 20K profit after that. And then we started realizing we're burnt out because now we're stuck doing all these different things and wearing all these hats. And we didn't realize that we needed more capital to be able to pay for people. Oh, and guess what? What if we had a really bad month? Would we have any capital reserves that would save us in those moments? We didn't know though. We didn't know how to do that. Eventually, we had realized through wise counsel and through business coaching and through people that were bigger than us and smarter than us that we needed to charge closer to $2,000 for our program based on the margins, based on where we were trying to scale, based on the amount of people we were trying to impact. And when we did that, our immediate knee-jerk reaction was we need to take over responsibility for every client. I remember Sammy and I jumping on coaching calls. Before we would get on the coaching call, we'd feel this intense pressure to over-deliver. I would spend 10, 20, 30 minutes more than I should have with clients trying to make sure that they got results. We would spend an extra hour on calls way past when we said they'd be over, trying to make sure that people really got what they came for. We started entering into this codependent savior complex mentality with people, taking over responsibility for people's satisfaction within their lives. That was caused because as we raised the price, we all of a sudden believed that we have to do and give more because it was directly tied to our level of worthiness for what we were charging. What I didn't know was that what was influencing that was that I had grown up in a home where my dad was drunk a lot and on the couch and pretty dissociated. And he was gone 4 or 5 days a week and because of his medical sales job. My mom was feeling really powerless with emotions at the time, having to carry so much and reacting to her own triggered childhood and the things that she learned growing up from broken family. And so I constantly remember feeling over responsible for my mom's emotions, doing whatever I could to make sure that her emotions were okay. And I thought that that was loving. I thought that was kind. But as a little kid, I learned that other people's emotions and satisfaction was my responsibility. And I took over responsibility for people around me being okay. I needed my mom to be okay for me to be okay. And that was codependency. I couldn't be okay if she was distraught, if she was panicked, if she had overwhelmed emotions, if she was feeling powerless or helpless in her life, if she had big sadness or fears or aloneness. I felt so deeply affected by it that I had to make it my goal to fix her emotions so that the home could be okay again. I carried that same thing into all of my relationships with women, with friendships, and I carried it into business. And I had to address that little boy in my own heart that still felt like he needed to make everybody else okay for him to be okay and for love to be available for him. I had to get really connected to the parts of me that actually needed love before I fixed everything. And as I got connected to those parts of my heart and was able to recognize that there was love and fathering available, I believe in God. I believe he's the source of love. I was able to encounter God in those different parts of my heart, receiving love, encountering love in the parts of my heart that really needed it, so that I could show up as a mature, full adult to these new scenarios. I didn't have to respond out of codependency anymore. I got to respond out of wisdom. The two things that are happening all the time in business is we're having to address our state, we're having to address our mindsets, we're having to address our belief systems and the things that are actually governing us at a subconscious level, while also addressing what is most logical, what is the wisest approach, what's the best thing to do situation by situation. And then also, if you're a believer, being in submission to the Holy Spirit, all while you're looking at those two elements. God has given us a set of principles to live by, and he's also invited us in to be led and fathered by him. And so those two things need to happen at all given times. I'm not running amok if I'm not hearing an audible voice of God of what to do. I'm still relying on the principles that I live by and the values that I live by and the wisdom that I've learned over the years. It's not in the Bible to know how to build a home. You learn how to build a home from people that have mentored you or taught you construction. And so, although it's extra biblical, you're still learning that framework, and it's okay to apply those frameworks with wisdom to build something, while also being in submission to what God might have you do, like give that home to somebody in any given moment because he's told you to do that. But all of that wisdom and being led and fathered is all in marriage together within business. And we're constantly making decisions, moving forward with wisdom and also being tethered to a spirit at the same time. One more story. We were trying to help this business owner grow his business the other day, and we had reached this point where we had tripled his business within 3 months. And he'd gone from $30,000 to $100,000 a month. And we reached this point where we kept hitting all of these different roadblocks with helping him grow further. And we had told him like, hey, you need to hop on more sales calls. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And we were like, hey, we need to implement this strategy. And it's like, we didn't hear back for 10 days. And we kept trying to focus on like all the how-tos and getting all the tactics done and ready and fixed so that we could get things rolling. But there was so much resistance. And through a coaching call, we discovered that he actually didn't believe in his product and service anymore. He didn't believe in what he did. And so I was like, we cannot solve any of these tactical problems at all because you don't have conviction for your business. And without conviction, you don't have any vision. And if you don't have any vision, this thing's going to fall apart. And what it came down to is he actually didn't believe in the service he was offering anymore. And so there's two things you can do with that. Either you can address some of that unworthiness or that state or that shame or whatever's causing that internally to hurt conviction, or we can look at the product service itself and make it better. How can we make this thing better? How can we make this thing bring clients more success? How can we develop something that truly is the best? Are we able to do that? Then we can solve those problems. But we're looking at those on a day-to-day basis. If you don't address your worthiness in business, you will never be able to figure out how to solve those problems tactically, and all the tactics don't matter. Figure out if you feel unworthy or not and start moving forward. It's really important for you, the entrepreneur, to find out if you feel worthy or unworthy in your life. Worthy of good things, worthy of love, worthy of growth, worthy of learning, worthy of development, worthy of results and outcomes, worthy of reward. If you don't believe that you're worthy of those different things, when they come, you will sabotage them. It's important for you to take internal looks. I've gotten counseling with over 500 hours of received coaching and counseling that I've had. Why? Because I think I'm messed up and broken and more broken than the rest. Maybe sometimes, but not usually. It's because I am hungry for growth. If you're not investing into growing with outside eyes besides your own, you are living in denial in some area in your life and you're missing out. I recommend you get help. I recommend you get mentoring. And I recommend that you get really honest with yourself in the areas that you don't believe in yourself, you don't feel worthy of good things, and really run after those things hard. If you don't believe they're affecting you as an entrepreneur, they are. Hope this video is valuable. Hope you got a lot out of it. If you want more topics like this or any other type of topic, leave me a comment below in the comment section. And if you liked this, obviously subscribe so that you can see more content like this. I'm trying to create more content for you, the faith-based entrepreneur, to grow, get better, and change and develop. And so hope this was valuable. I'll see you on the next video.